handle the truth.
I'm Jim Price, Jim Price Show Daily Update. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Oh, let's see. What's the date today? It's July 28th. It's Tuesday, 2026. Well, I thought I'd try doing this without the headphones on, and I'll have to see if I can get used to doing that or not. This is different for me. But when I have to play audio and stuff, I have to have the headphones on. So I don't know, this might be pointless because I think I do have some audio I need to play. So let's just go ahead and wrap it up here. Act like we know what we're doing. There we go. Anyway, there is a lot of things going to go on today that may or may not get to the Washington Cathedral funeral today. But see, guys, I wonder if we all kind of forget these quote-unquote kingpins of the old warmonger guys, right? The guys who were so dug in, and they were a threat in themselves because they had information. They knew where the bodies were buried for real. They were kind of that place. But I'm not saying that about Lindsey Graham or about the other guy who keeps dying, and Mitch McConnell. He's died a few times. I think he's died like 5 or 6 times. But anyway, there's no proof of life. I guess that now the governor is asking for proof of life. So we'll see how that all goes, but kind of a debacle of things. There is a Republican incumbent misses a financial disclosure deadline, and now they're saying that Republican will not appear on the ballot in Florida. So, guys, we can all screw up, and we can all do this and this, and we all think we got our P's and Q's together, but we still just end up kind of doing the dumb things. And that's a real problem. So anyway, we don't know if McConnell will show up, or maybe his Asian wife, his handler, will step in for him, and she will talk to you additional way. So you understand my English, do you not? I don't know. That's how she is. I'm just making fun. I have no idea. I've never heard her voice. And if I did get that wrong, I was being funny, and so I hope we all can laugh about that for half a second there. Hey, Brenda, good to see you. Okay, so going on, and by the way, I've been to funerals before. Not that I can't wait to go again. That's usually not how that works. But I don't know. Other than he had a lot of people speak about him. It was just a bunch of people there. The casket was closed. Now, again, I understand it's been a couple days since he's been, he had the aortic dissection. They said that he had the Widowmaker, but there are rumors and there are stories that says that he was actually inside of the drone manufacturing facility that Russia bombed, and they oopsied. But again, oopsies count as things that move the pegboard, move the players around, move the shot clock gets reset. I mean, there's a lot of things that happen in this moment. Now, I got some conjectures in there. I wasn't his fan, but I wasn't his enemy. I think Lindsey Graham was a bit of a lapdog. He liked the attention. He liked being called a good boy, and he would do whatever that took. And that's good. Maybe that's what made him so likable. Maybe because he was placating all the time. Or maybe he really did operate in that. I don't know. There seems to have been an agenda, but no agenda. But the agenda was keeping us in heavy war. So, when we go down through this, anyway, so that's just, we had everybody, Trump and Vance, Hannity. There was others that got up and spoke. His niece spoke, Lindsey Graham's niece. Okay. Now, there was a video that I happened to come across earlier today, or maybe it was earlier today, that a 16-year-old lifeguard had swam out to a 10-year-old boy in Santa Cruz, California. And I don't know if I need to play the video because it's actually it's kind of captivating. It really is a bit of you watch it and it's a thing. Let me see, but you guys want to watch this? Let's go ahead and I'll go ahead and put it up here for you guys and let you see this. Because my point is that that it's a tough watch because the 16-year-old lifeguard swims out to the 10-year-old, but the breakers are still coming in. The water, the undertow, it's a tough situation. Let's go ahead and watch this. Oh, it's going to take me to there? Oh, no, I don't want to do that. Hold on. Okay, let's just a second. Let me reset that. I thought I was going to Twitter on that one. So, sorry about that, guys. Just a second here. Oh, I see what happened. That's what that was. And then this is going to be on a... I'm going to
get you!
All right.
No, you won't!
Shh. Be quiet now. Skip ad, and then one more ad. Okay, so I do have a video here. It's going to be on Rumble, so I'll be able to play. There we go. And, okay, there we go. Yeah, Gumby says 2-month newbie. Yeah, this guy was just fresh on the job. So here's the video here on Rumble. Let's go ahead and watch it here. Here we go. And there's no audio with this as the audio is already up. But anyway, you see how he's dragging him back. But see the water underneath him is going backwards, and he has to dive his head into the waves as they come over the top of him. And I'm using maybe using the wrong words here, breaker or things of that nature. But this kid he's being held above the water right now by this lifeguard, and there's another guy trying to come in and help, but see how it's dragging them back in? See, the problem is sand is actually sucking you in, and then boom, you get hit with a wall of water going the opposite direction that it's sucking you down into. So this happens. I guess this went on, and see, he's got the kid there. They're trying to come back out again. The water's pulling them out. And then here comes the wall, and he dives under. Boom, he puts his head underneath the water. And this is actually very dramatic. If you think about what's happening here, these people, I mean, this is... that little boy hadn't been there, or that lifeguard had not been there, that little boy would have been gone. There's just no answers for that. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and turn that off. It's a lot to watch for me. But the point of it is that this boy now, this 16-year-old boy who, again, probably just, fresh out of, I was a lifeguard at 16, and I tell you, I took it really serious. And to see that boy went out there and did that, and he had the wherewithal to be able to go out there, be working to bring that boy closer and closer to the shoreline, but then to be able to turn his head into the waters coming in, not to be tumbled over and over again, holding that boy's head above water. I mean, these are all things over and over again. But if you see that, there's a bunch of tether rope going on, and I don't know where all that got involved, but it's almost like whatever his lanyard for his boogie board, or I don't know what happened. But anyway, there was some extra rope involved there, and there was a floater, but it was so turbulent, it was tearing it out of their hands. So that was a real thing there. And Trump now has remarked that he does want to have that boy at the White House, which again, this is the things we should celebrate, correct? Isn't this the things that we should run out for and do things? This is right. This is where we go, right? But again, it doesn't seem to always be that way, and I don't feel like we had those positive moments, but this is where I think news is at. That's news. The rest is just everybody's tragedy. Lindsey Graham's passing. Well, it's not. It's a tragedy, right? So anyway, he's going to have a trip to the White House, and I think even the boy who was rescued gets to go as well, which, again, like I said, just one of those nice little things. I don't care if the guy had purple hair and a nose ring, whatever. If he saved the boy's life, he saved the boy's life. He did his job. But see, that's where, guys, you can, and this is where I don't understand. You can... If you want to pick a lane on certain topics, that's fine. But when we have that little bit of a melting pot within ourselves, we really have to do better. We do. So, and this is, again, the humanity of things. Well, and speaking of the humanity of things, and where I'm going to come in and get involved here is that, oh, I guess I didn't have my phone down here, so that's all right. I named today's show Fauci. And I only do that because really more of the sarcasm of naming it Fauci and actually just saying, putting him as a highlight is really not me holding homage to him. It's actually bringing the focus back to him. So she goes, yeah, those are really high breakers. I've been in that before. The suction can really pull you in. It's frightening. Well, think about that 10-year-old boy, but that 16-year-old boy hadn't been there. That had been even, it had been over. So because the boy seemed to be very lifeless about the whole thing. Anyway, so the idea that we had this guy who thought he was, again, I got started in this because I felt like the stories the way I saw things and the things that happened to me were a story that needed to be told. And over, about a year and a half, I got real popular. 10 million, 10.2 million, whatever. 10 million people on Facebook. I had, TikTok or not TikTok, but Twitter, the other T one. Twitter and YouTube. It's doing great. And that YouTube shut me down. Facebook shut me down. Or, took away followers. And then Twitter has had, since January 6th, or January 8th, actually, it was like 2 days later when they banned Trump. When they banned Trump, my site, I lost overnight like 80% of what I had, and then I have it just trickles it off of me. I'm losing people. In fact, I showed you guys that one time. But anyway, so I understand that there are things like this that where people can be affected, because I've watched other people in my position. I was never in this to quote unquote. I don't want to be an influencer. I wanted to be a radio guy. I like the radio part of things. I like doing that part. I like the TV part. I like being able to, do the interaction with the daily news of stuff. And I honestly, again, if I was only chasing numbers, then I wouldn't continue on, right? If it was always just the numbers, then as soon as the numbers stopped, I should have stopped, right? But it wasn't about. I want to see it this way. I want you guys to see a different perspective. And that's really the biggest thing. I want to see how much truth we can find, how many questions we can ask until we get better answers, and maybe even get some real clarity, maybe get some healing involved. Because that's where let's just do it, right? But anyway, newly released entries from Fauci's personal diary show that a longtime NIAID director, or that the longtime director, was not only deeply involved in closing down schools across the country, but was actively proud of his role in getting California and New York to send millions of children home as he directed the nation's disastrous COVID response. Now, guys, I have been around other people that have, quote unquote, become influencers for the sake of. They've been they're a this or that, or I'm a this or that, or I in God's name, or in America's name, or in Army's name, or in fisherman's name. I mean, everybody had a thing, right? They had all these niches, and it really exploded there for a long time. And I seen a lot of people make some quick money. I mean, money they'd never seen in their life. And it came flowing in, and there was, you could start seeing the body modifications, the lips, the hair, and it just got extra all of a sudden, right? And they weren't who they were originally, which really made them who they were. And I watched a lot of that go on, but then you find that somehow that sells. When you go into that narcissistic way, I've seen it where the curiosity of it is really what keeps people there. that narcissist that makes it about themselves, I am surprised at the success of that. It's a frightening thing to see, but let me tell you, I've seen a lot of people change. And not in a positive way. They've changed it, and they almost seem like a different person when they became an influencer. When somebody recognized them in public, or they hit 1 million followers, or they, I did all that back in 2019, 2020. That was I was competing with Hannity's numbers. I was getting up on him. But see, the problem is if they don't want you to look that way, you'll never get there anyway. So it doesn't matter, right? But here's a guy who maybe, just maybe, he had really done the work. He had put the time in. And maybe, just maybe, he was hoping that maybe someday there would be a light shined on him and he could lead us all to Bethlehem. Or that he had trained all of his life to make sure that in this moment he would say the right things and be the right person and do all that. But I do believe that there was a greater marching order. But I think because he had marching orders by whatever, and the fact that his own personal greed even showed into that, once they said, no, you're the man, he couldn't help but seeing himself as the man. And this is the fallacy of the human heart. This is the ego. I can't be wrong. Oh, I got other people even telling me I can't be wrong. President Trump even said I'm the greatest. I'm the bestest. I am the highest level at the NIHID infectious person. The problem is that this is what is demanded in our society, right? We always have to have the Mr. Whoever, right? The biggest title. But the sad part of it is that a lot of times the guy who is the CEO of Ford doesn't really know the compression ratio or how a motor goes together or what head change outs could be for different model cars. And maybe he does, maybe he doesn't, but usually they're not down in the mud of blood of things, and they're usually not really the best infectious specialist on the planet. But they have the big title that says they're the director. And so all of a sudden everybody starts bending the knee. But here's the problem. If Trump had brought out, let's say he brought out Kennedy Jr., Let's say he brought out Kennedy Jr., guy of a whole part of our doing our healthcare or doing our food pyramid now. What if he'd have brought him out during COVID? What would have happened? They'd have grilled and fried and slide and dip. The problem is, guys, you forget there's a lot of people that Trump does actually placate to because they have to have the blood in the water. They have to have the death count. They have to. I mean, do you see what I'm saying? But here's a small guy who maybe just thought he was the director, or maybe someday he would get to be in charge of all that. But I don't know. I don't know his heart. But the heart of a man is exceedingly wicked. Who shall know it? And then that's because the ego tells him he's not wrong. So this directly contradicts Fauci's repeated public claims that he had nothing to do with school closures, a lie he peddled for years even as American children suffered catastrophic learning losses, mental health crisis. Remember, we lost more people to suicide in April of that year than we do in a standard calendar year, because that was when we told everybody to go home because we don't know what's going on. Just go home and be scared. And if you were already on the edge of the world when you thought the world was too much, and all of a sudden they said that you said there was, oh, God dang, there's no world. If you were already mentally there, that's all you needed. 10 toes on the edge, right? Don't push me. But that's what this guy did. By taking and saying 2 weeks to slow the spread, remember, this is what was wanted. If Trump would have contradicted him in these times, if Trump would have, remember Fauci says, well, we need a vaccine. He's like, well, good, I bet we find one. Oh, you can't do that. Bet we do. Oh, we got to start locking things down for the rest of the world. Oh, my gosh. Remember right after the election, literally the Monday after the election, they released that Pfizer has a COVID vaccine. Moderna has a COVID vaccine. Johnson & Johnson has a COVID vaccine. But I also have a piece of paper here that says Moderna was actually being administered to Fort Riley soldiers in 2014. Moderna, right here. It's right here. But hey, what do I know? Immunization, Moderna, COVID-19. That's documented from 2014. That's why Trump knew it was already out there. He knew that the vaccine was there and that he wasn't going to let them try to be the hero. He was going to go ahead and say, hey, by the way, remember, you're going to pull this out after the election, right? And you did. Yeah, see, they were trying to hold on to it so they could be the winners on the other side of things. The bombshell comes from 1141 pages from Tony's diary package released this week by Senator Rand Paul. And again, this is this guy has been a problem for, I mean, we all joke about it now, and was one of the things I used to do during the show. I would sit there and say, well, okay, I got this 8-pack of toilet paper. Who's got some acreage? And then I had like a 2-pack, I don't know, it may still be down here somewhere, the 2-pack of Lysol, which that stuff is toxic as hell, by the way. You should never use Lysol in your house. I am there. Anyway, I was like, hey, it says right here, destroys COVID-19. Right here on the package. How do they know that? I said, right here, 2 packs. Anybody got a boat? And I was trying to make fun of it, but here it is now. We get to talk about what this guy was doing, where he was actually turning into a egomaniac. He didn't realize that maybe he wasn't built for speed. Maybe he was built to be that doctor who always dreamed about being in charge of the world. But no, he ended up being the wrong guy. However, on March 9th, 2020, Fauci wrote that the New York governor, Andrew Cuomo, called seeking advice on whether to close schools in Orthodox Jew sections of the Westchester County, where cases were higher than the rest of the New York City. I tell him yes, Fauci wrote. 6 days later, on March 15th, he documented a call from the New York mayor, Bill de Blasio. Remember, does this have a fry? Oh yeah, so you get your vaccine, you get the fries and the cheeseburger. This has a fry element. He used the word fry element. Anyway, I spoke with Bill de Blasio and convinced him, based on what I was seeing publicly and my conversation, saying to close the New York schools. He's saying to close New York schools. I went on to tell him he should close the bars and restaurants in New York City. He said that he would base this on my recommendation. The same day, Fauci noted a similar conversation with Ann O'Leary, chief of staff to the governor, Gavin Newsom. And said that based on my TV appearance today and yesterday, the governor has decided to close the schools in California as well as bars and restaurants. But you know what's crazy, guys? I actually had events that were going on in California during that time. And there were some places that were really weird. But most of the places just didn't give two shits. The most I ever got harassed was one time I was driving across country. I'd gone to an event in Utah, had gone to another event in Las Vegas, was on the way back, and I stopped at a gas station that was on a reservation, and they had a security guard at the door, and I'm like, there's no way there. And I'm like, I hit the door. She's like, sir, you have to have a mask. Come in here. Sir, you have to have a mask. So I said, ma'am, you're going to have to catch me at the urinal because I got to go. And I had to. I really did. I wasn't being a jerk about it. But that was probably the most aggressive I had ever gotten from that. But California, there was some weird stuff, and a lot of things looked very desolate. But there were still people doing what they wanted to do. So I don't know, guys. It's kind of a crazy how these people at the top were saying that they wanted so many people to do so many things, but I don't know if they really got that. But anyway, the Fauci perspective on this. Fauci then pushed aggressive 15-day mitigation guidelines that explicitly called for closing schools where community spread existed. Far from distancing himself, the diary shows him later mocking President Donald Trump's effort to reopen, blasting Governor Ron DeSantis for moving forward and privately complaining that Trump does not care about the safety of the children. I think this guy maybe got just a bit too much of his. I think he got out. I think he did. I don't know. Maybe he is just an ego guy. He just didn't realize it. Maybe he thought he could handle it. But I mean, he does have. I don't know what you want to say. I don't know what his heritage is. I don't know what his background is, but I can tell you how he's acted in this and in these things that he's saying here. How he's chastising those that have praised him. I mean, that means he's elevated himself above those that have actually said he's a good guy. So this is again a problem. So it gets worse. Let's see. Here's another one. From the moment we exposed Beaglegate, the Washington establishment, bureaucrats, politicians, and I'm screwing this all up. Sorry. Holy crap. From the moment we exposed Beaglegate, the Washington establishment, bureaucrats, politicians, and the corrupt media circled the wagons to defend Fauci over his founding of a deadly dog lab. Now, Fauci's own diary reveals the former President Barry, personally helped him coordinate a covert damage control campaign. Do you guys ever feel like you're not part of the cool kids club? Like maybe there's like there's them and then there's us and we're not them and they're not us and neither the twain shall meet, or the two shall meet. Twain. It'd be twain. Yeah. Neither the two shall meet, right? Is that what we're saying here? So Fauci has Uncle Barry stepping in to do damage control on the beagle puppies that were being used for his experimentations. I mean, guys, again, listen, I don't know where to land on that. I understand that in America, we use dogs as pets, but I know there's a lot of countries in this world that'll eat that thing in a minute. It's just a livestock. It's something that's consuming food that they could eat. There's a lot of what we do with animals. It's really kind of weird in the developed world that does not happen. I mean, just one tier below us. We're not going into third world countries. We're just talking about like just going into kind of where there's some semi-undeveloped areas. Dogs and cats and all that stuff is just part of the deal. So, like in New Guinea, is it New Guinea? Not New Guinea. Is it New Guinea? What's the one down south there by, was it Peru or whatever? No, not Ecuador. Anyway, maybe it's Peru. But anyway, there's a country in the South America that eats guinea pigs as part of their daily meal. But yet we have children naming them and getting their fingers bit, and they poop and pee and wood shavings, and it smells all the time, and then people change them out, and they get them dusted and all. But there's a country where those people just eat that that's just their Thursday night. It's like, oh, what are we having? Oh, we're having guinea pig. And they have a little corral of them. They eat them so much, they just have a corral of them, and they just taste like chicken. Anyway, let's just remember this, that there's a lot of things that we don't get that other people get. I don't have Uncle Barry stepping in for me to run damage control. I don't, no. In fact, it's the exact opposite. They sick the very people that they control. So they pull back for Fauci ouchie, but they sick them when it comes to me, right? The Democrat National Committee, that the DNC that comes out of Washington, had $150,000 to spend against me on my campaign from super PACs. Other diary entries show Fauci's bizarre obsession with his own celebrity status, even as COVID deaths mounted and the country locked down. On March 10th, 2020, he wrote, again, this was that, remember, March and April. So April, we had a whole bunch of suicides because we did that March thing. All of a sudden, we hit the brakes, and they said, everybody go home for a minute, which I don't know. Did anybody really go home except for we basically didn't have public works anymore? See, that's the part I actually think that was the greatest experiment of all. It's like, hey, we didn't need you guys showing up, and maybe we don't even need you guys to do whatever job it is you do. That's another thing. It's like, maybe that's where I was hoping that COVID would have kind of given us a reason to go, Do we need 25 million Americans working for the frickin' government? Do we? Because I'm looking around and I'm able to do all kinds of shit and I ain't need nobody. I ain't need no government. You know what I mean? Anyway. On March 10th, 2020, he wrote, for better or worse, I don't know if that's how he talks, for better or worse, he talks like an old, like this. He goes, for better or worse, I'm becoming an international celebrity. Calls from all over the world. I don't know if that's how he sounds like a drunken sailor, or we. On May 20th, with nearly 100,000 Americans dead, he recorded that the situation with my nation, my national and international fame is explosive and really unimaginable. It is not hyperbole. Hyperbole? Hyperbole? No, that's not it. Hyperbole. Oh, it is actually hyperbole. To say that today, I was going the other direction with that. Say today, I am the most famous and talked about person in the country and one of the most recognizable person in the world. He didn't plural the S's or whatever. So he's saying now he's one of the most recognizable persons in the world, not on the world, or on Earth, or in the world. Oh, or in the world. He's doing Hollow Earth stuff there. Anyway, hyperbole. I guess I haven't read the word hyperbole in so long. I was thinking hyperbolic, and I was like, why is he saying hyperbolic? That didn't fit. Anyway, he tracked the FAUCI cult, invitations to Dances with the Stars, SNL spoofs, bobbleheads, and celebrity Instagram sessions while fretting that the White House was upset he was outshining Trump. He said that he was outshining Trump. So there you go. This guy, maybe he just got into his own thing. Like he kind of got all into it, like his, whew. You know what I mean, though? Like there was like he got into that ego. It's damaging. And here's the thing. We had to have the guy in that situation. He had to be that guy. But the sad part of it is he fooled a lot of people and got a lot of people to do things that maybe they wouldn't have done if they were given really all the information or just given a chance to have a different point of view or whatever it was. And I get it, but it's everybody's whatever, right? This is all like turns into an abortion issue all of a sudden. Oh, are you pro-life or you pro-choice? What do you I'm like, oh, now we're going to do that. Let's not get tribal, guys. Senator Paul highlighted these entries, noting that Fauci's private writings and public statements are two different stories and pointing to advice that Fauci directed staff to destroy federal records in a potential cover-up he planned to confront under oath. The cover-up he planned to confront under oath. Additional pages indicated Fauci privately believed the COVID case fatality rate was far lower than the figures he gave lawmakers under oath. Okay, now, guys, what are we doing here? I can see where he's at home talking to himself. And I get it, he hasn't been the guy, he hasn't been the man, and all of a sudden he is the man of Earth. Like all of Earth wants to hear his, and I wanted him to go home. I exclaimed about it. I got on here, and that's the reason I set this show up now. This is the remnants of the Fauci era. That's why I did the 4 p.m. Central, because it was an hour before Trump got up there with Fauci, Ouchie, and Burks. Remember Miss Scarf Lady, the lady of 1,000 scarves? Well, I got up there and started doing the show because my weekend show, it was like I felt like I was too late. I felt like I was talking about the leftovers. And yeah, there was a lot going on and a lot of things would happen. And so I was out there on my Saturday night show. And I was doing all these other night shows and this and that. And I said, I got to do a daily update. And that's what I created this for. Fauci and all of his bullshit getting up there and making everybody freak out and lose their mind about stuff, That's why I started the daily update. It was just the Jim Price Show. But this is the Jim Price Show daily update. And that's why it's called the daily update, because I'm just kind of updating you on things I'm seeing in the world around us. And some of these things are hot off the press, and some things are, we got to clean up from a history that we didn't quite talk about 1 week or two ago. But this guy's out there. His heart is being exposed. But again, have I not said this out loud? I mean, I feel like I haven't. Maybe the back of the room's not hearing. But guys, quit writing down your plans to rob a bank. Quit writing down your plans to commit murder. Quit writing down your plans to commit fraud. I guess that the idea that even Comey wrote things down like, are we going to kill him or just make him unpopular? What did you write down and put in your file at the federal government? You left that in your file at the federal government like that was going to be part of history? Like that's what makes you the winner of history? How broken are we in society that there are people walking around that write these down and then leave them behind in the FBI? Yeah, we just... So, let's see, we're gonna kill him or we're gonna take him out. I'm paraphrasing a little bit here. I'm making it up, but I have no idea. I mean, I'm making it all up. I'm just conjecturing. Or wait, I thought that was in the news. I thought we actually got to see that in part of these big dumps we've been having by MK Ultra, the even stuff about Seth Rich has come about, the UFOs, the Jeffy files. There's a lot of things that we have covered that are very Q related. If you guys want to still talk about that, we can. I don't talk about it and it was never my thing. I never got all the way into it. I knew I was very fluid with it, but I just never followed with the gematria and stuff like a lot of people did. But anyway, a lot of things have happened. Let's get back to this guy. This guy, I think he was given directive to do certain things and be that person. And yeah, but then he just kind of told, he thought, he'd tell himself, but thought he was telling on himself and what? That we would look back on his diaries and go, oh, he's just so precious and vulnerable and showing us his soft side. Oh, look he's just a real guy. It's like, what are we talking about here? Why is it this guy gets to be whatever that is? He gets to be creepy about it, and then he gets to be this, he gets to say all this, but then be this. That doesn't make it, I think he thinks saying these things makes him like more adorable or something. Like he's realizing his fandom or what are we doing here? I don't know. Fame, I guess, does things weird to different people. In one early entry, he and former CDC Director Tom Frieden agreed the virus was acting like a bad influenza with a case fatality no more than 0.2 to 0.3, rather than the 2%. Okay. So he put the 2 on the other side of the decimal. He lied in the fatality rate was 0.2 to 0.3. But he said it was actually 2%. And that's what gave him the authority to do that? Come on, guys. What do we give to these people? This is absolutely just ludicrous. Okay, let's see. Continue on here. Early in 2020 entries also show Fauci was told by top virologists that the virus furin cleavage site raised real doubts about a natural origin. Oh, so wait. Early 2020 entries show Fauci was told by top virologists that the virus's furin cleavage site raised real doubts about a natural origin. In other words, it looks modified. And the problem with it is they used fear, they used age, they used illness, and that's like the worst of us. That brings out people's weaknesses, and it brings out things in them that they may not have done or may not have been part of or not want to be a part of or whatever it was. I saw people do a lot of weird things back then, and I actually the first time I took ivermectin, because this dipstick told me on TV, didn't say it to Jim Price, but I'm just saying he got up there and says, well, it's known to give heart attacks to those with high blood pressure. Well, as I went to take that first one, I literally did hesitate for just a second. As I was putting it to my mouth, I went, and I'm like, F you, dude. And I took it, swigged that down. Never had an issue. In fact, I've now been off my blood pressure medication for, 2 years now? And the big turnarounds for that, make sure I'm doing parasite cleanses, keeping my salt very high, staying on the cayenne pepper, doing my other stuff for my liver. And it's been very, very beneficial. But I will tell you the whole idea, have we learned nothing about what people are willing to give into and how manipulative? They spent $1 trillion advertising to give out 8 billion doses worldwide. So worldwide, they say that there was 8 billion doses. And these numbers are varied by the problem is we probably were charged for 8 billion doses, but they probably only handed out 800 million. Do you see what I'm saying? We don't know. Like these NGOs, and remember Gap Tooth down there in Atlanta? She's got $2 billion to buy refrigerators and dryers and wash machines for people of Atlanta and different counties. $2 billion worth of that. Stacey Abrams, remember Gap Tooth lady? The lady ran for the governor down there, and they couldn't cheat for her enough. It's a thing. So anyway, there is another thing going on here. We're gonna probably this will probably be the last article today. So anyway, fascism in the Big Apple. Now, guys, by the way, you understand that you have to be almost a psychopath, but at least a true fascist to believe that you can rule over people in a socialist or communist fashion. Because you have to be delusional that you are the person that knows better than everybody else. But you're not a king. You're a dictator. That's what anyway. So Mandandi, all right, let's listen to Mandandi here. Mandandi is really doing some really cool stuff, and I do appreciate his stick-to-ness. This guy he set his sails on that Northern Star, and he is not taking his eyes off of it whatsoever. Marxist New York City mayor has ratcheted up his war on his constituents with his most wicked move yet, effectively doxing the entire 5 million and up tax base. Oh yeah, anybody who had a $5 million property or higher was just exposed on who they were by a list by the city's mayor. Mondani and New York Governor Kathy Hochul unveiled a joint legislative proposal in April that went after luxury second homes worth $5 million or more. That is known as a pied-à-terre tax. Last week, Mandandi took to X to brag that his office had sent notification letters reminding those homeowners that the tax would be implemented soon and to check your mailboxes. If you have a second home in New York worth more than $5 million, check your mailboxes. It says, today we sent notification letters to property owners letting them know now that our new pied-à-terre tax is coming soon. The best city in the world deserves the best parks, libraries, schools in the world. That's only possible when we all pay our fair share. Now, guys, I have been around people who've got planes and boats and who live in the smallest houses that really don't have a foundation. I mean, I have really been very fortunate to meet a lot of people. And I will tell you that I have been a part of businesses that do the $1 billion a year stuff, like billions a year. I get that. I've been there, done that. But when people talk about this, or he's talking about people paying their fair share, all they have to do is say that every tax bracket pays exactly the same no matter what. Take out all the tax breaks. Take out all the tax codes. Take out all the thises and that's and we can defer this, defer that, can do this, can do that. If they really wanted to do this, instead of just getting headlines, they would just change the law. And it would be that simple. But in reality, we know that through Rand Paul and other people like that, going way back into Ross Perot, talking about sales tax. If we had a 10% sales tax, we could pay for the city, county, state, and federal government and still have money left over if we just did a 10% sales tax on everything. It solves all the tax problems. There is no property tax. There is no sales tax. There is no yearly, car title tax, and there is no renewable tax on none of that. The taxes on airplanes, all that, none of that. None of the taxes on all that. They have literally proved this over and over again that if you just do it, was it 10%, if I remember right, it's 10% sales tax. But here's Mandandi doing this. On Monday, Mandandi's regime took his sinister scheme to a dangerous level, publishing the names and addresses of all the property owners likely affected by this new tax. How many lives did he potentially endanger with this doxing? The City Department of Finance uploaded the comprehensive list with purports to cover all unoccupied non-primary residents in the 5 boroughs worth north of 1 million, including the full names and addresses of every property owner. So let's say that my uncle left me a penthouse there, a nice house there on the 12th floor of overlooking Central Park South, and you could see the tavern on the green from his balcony. And let's say that was a thing. Well, I, being me here in Kansas, but then I still had that property somehow. I hadn't sold it, was waiting for it to sell because nobody wants to buy anything in New York anymore. But let's say I was selling this $2.5 or $5 million apartment, and I'm over here. I'm like, I don't have a second home. I'm just trying to get rid of what my uncle gave me. That's an estate thing. Oh, but all of a sudden now, my name and number and addresses have all been released because I own that property now, even though I'm transitioning it from an estate to somebody else. But see, this is where it gets dangerous because people go and take things personally. And by the way, the MK Ultras, those people, there's an ability to hypnotize people through all kinds of stuff. And that's what we talk about with the lights, sounds, and images that they can give to you in a movie, into your own phone, into everything. In fact, there's a lot of evidence that says that even with me talking right now, they can manipulate it to where my voice is irritating or that the way I actually look is irritating to you. They know how to manipulate people to get people disinterested. And that's the crazy part of it. They want people to be really dumb. And it's crazy. So anyway, it goes on. It's a reckless and foolish move, especially considering there are potentially thousands of properties on this list that do not qualify for second home, whose owners will successfully dispute their conclusion. Journalist Alex Brenson also shared an especially alarming anecdote on X. His 81-year-old mother got a tax notice from Mandandi goons revealing that she would be subject to pedicere tax. Brenson's mom has lived in a townhouse in the Big Apple for 30 years, which she and her husband originally bought for under $1 million. Worse, she has nothing else. She has nowhere else to live. So in other words, now we've got a problem with an elderly person. This is their primary residence, but because it's worth more, I mean, guys, this is greed. This is out of control. This is not wisdom. This is not leadership. This is the guy who's a dictator. This is what you do. You threaten the people that pay you. I don't get it. This is what they wanted. They wanted Democrat socialists. You get to vote for the guy who beat you. No, I want that guy to beat me. I don't like you anymore. I like this guy. I think his brand of whoopings are better. It's been great seeing everybody. Guys, great comments out there. Good to see everybody on YouTube and Facebook and others. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. Guys, this is I got a new website going. It is up and running. You guys can go over there and take a look at it. Let me know what you think. I do have one more before it's finally done. I think I have one more link to put on there for raw optics for the blue light blocker glasses that I have been advertising here before. Have not done it much recently, but they are a big part of the healing body. You have to heal the body by letting the right light into your eyes. Right now, I have horrible amounts of blue light coming into my eyes because of the bright white, but that's why I'm using those blue blockers from Raw Optics, raoptics.com, promo code PRICE. If you guys go over to Raw Optics, get your blue light blockers and also get your red light or your red glasses for after the sun goes down. They'll reset your circadian clock, get the melatonin naturally flowing through the body with those red glasses. All right, guys, it's going to be about me. Go take a look at that website, thejimpriceshow.com, thejimpriceshow.com. All right, it's been good out there, guys. Thank you so much. Remember the 10% we do for our neighbor, community, city, county, state, the federal government. The more you do for them, less it do for you. Learn how to be selfless and not so damn selfish. The world will be a far, far better place. Remember, hold the line, hold fast. Do not give up. Do not give in. We'll win. I promise I can't keep, guys. You've always been the answer out there. Remember that Constitution? That limits that government, but never limits you. You live in a constitutional representative republic, and we vote in a democratic process. Learn it, know it, repeat it over and over again. Know your Bill of Rights, guys. Go and look up the state Bill of Rights, the one I was reading to you yesterday about Kansas not having the ability to petition their government. Well, we can't. They don't listen. All right, guys, I'm Jim Price, the Jim Price Show Daily Update. You guys all be good to each other out there, and I'll see you guys